When companies and brands think about digital marketing, it's perhaps a certain budget
Hmm.
that's placed into
Yeah.
different platforms and search engines, and the result would be based on leads. And it's a very simplistic way of thinking of digital marketing.
Yeah.
What do you think has been the biggest misconception with digital marketing?
Yeah.
And how do you see the role between digital marketing versus traditional marketing?
I believe like one of our biggest misconception is just like putting the money to the platform and just like sitting there wishing for leads to flow in.
Today's guest has built his career in digital marketing, from working with the biggest agencies and brands like Nissan all the way to Alphatame. He's a veteran in this field and has so much to share with his experience and knowledge. We'd like to welcome Tariq El Saru to today's podcast. So, from what I understand with digital marketing, I think it's about planning, executing a brand's marketing campaign online.
Yeah.
Basically, kind of ensuring that their message reaches the right audience. I'd
Yeah.
like to start with Tariq. What has been your journey with digital marketing and how have you seen it evolve?
A mix between agency side through WPP Media, through a couple of different verticals, not only automotive, and then another automotive OEM, then reaching to where am I now. It's a self-taught, let's say, test and learn, multiple times fail and learn. um, Basically, it's always how you make sure you are not under delivering and then, under planning and then over delivering by, I don't know, 100% to 100% over planned. Because it's always not so good to be very conservative about the entire thing or about the entire media plan and then saying we did amazing job by achieving 300%. So that mean you didn't anticipate the vertical correctly, the audience correctly, the how the people would interact with your message in a way. So it's always has to be like the right balance between anticipating or like probabilistic planning along with optimizing along the campaign flight.
So, in terms of the different factors you were mentioning about stakeholder management and kind of the expectations
Yeah.
between under and over delivery, what do you think are a couple of advices that you would give to actually manage that expectation?
That's a good question. So basically, from a digital marketing perspective, most of us thinks within this bubble, which is, for example, focusing on cost per whatever. So cost per click, cost per lead, cost per impression, whatever it is. And then all of a sudden, you're being working in a silo that's completely dissociated with the business outcomes, right? So that's the biggest trap that you might be falling in as a digital marketer, that you are always focusing on this KPI without the bigger picture, without having what's the impact of this campaign on the actual business performance, what's the run rate for the business outcomes that you are supposedly participating in or supporting the business to move forward. So that's the biggest thing for me.
In terms of your KPIs, like you were mentioning, has there been any change in what you track now as compared to, let's say, a decade ago or 2 decades ago?
Yeah, for sure. So basically understanding a bit of finance, I can say, like one-on-ones for me, for sure this for you would be like a no-brainer. But let's say the total marketing cost per unit, or the let's call it, it's a marketing funnel, right? So previously what I used to track was always like the top of this funnel. So whatever I'm having on the ad platform itself. So platform one is giving me the cheapest click, platform two giving me the cheapest, for example, app download, a platform three giving me the cheapest lead. And that was the way I used to track it before. But right now, it's always like 2 or 3 steps down the funnel. So this app download led to an active user. This lead submission has eventually led to like a business outcome of sorts. So this is what we are focusing on right now.
I think the biggest struggle for me or the experience that I've had is finance or marketing or sales. There's always a tussle between the different departments.
Yeah.
Obviously, from a finance point of view, we try to ensure that costs remain within a certain
For sure.
parameter.
For sure.
And from a marketing point of view, obviously, we want to reach the impressions, we want to grow the brand and bring campaigns.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with the sales point of view. So I think you've had, and even I've had interactions where everyone's opinion is very different.
Yeah.
We kind of want the same thing, the overall bigger goal, but I guess the way we achieve it is a bit different.
Yeah.
How do you handle that stakeholder expectations?
So transparency is the golden key here. So not having any sides at any meeting, let's say with the senior stakeholders. So I'm not basically saying that I cannot deliver what you guys are asking for, or I will only focus on, for example, the cost per unit, and that's that. So it's always the transparent communication and give everyone the same understanding. So, guys, if you want to reach that goal from a marketing perspective, we need to have this set up. So, one, two, three, that will eventually lead into this business outcome. So once we get this mutual understanding without like having some sort of a turf war or something like you said it wrong, no, you should be sticking to this, you know? So basically, like trying to, how you can call it, find a middle ground between all business stakeholders is the best way and keep it real as much as possible.
I remember if I were to look maybe a decade or two ago, where digital marketing was just web pages, static
Yeah.
banners, and those push SMSs, you remember, where
Yeah.
brands used to push a one-way communication to clients.
Correct.
Nowadays, it's a full 180.
Yeah.
There's automation, there's customer-centric behavior. How have you seen, Tariq, the journey of digital marketing evolve from previously to now?
So it's good, but not so good, let's say. So I can like give a fair example of the new automation and new AI, everything that we are going into this era now. So the agency that we're working with right now, they pushed it so hard that we need to test a new feature on, let's call it platform one, right?
Right.
So the feature was give the platform a couple of images, and the platform magically will do the creative agency's work, which is like transfer it into a video, add a music, add a text on video, like do the full thing. And we gave it a try in a very important moment for us, which is Ramadan. So we got a couple of Mexican fiesta music on top of Ramadan message. So it's a complete
Not in
mess.
sync.
Yeah. It's a complete mess in that. So basically, whatever you have to train this AI for, whatever you have to do to make this AI understand your message, then you can get the ultimate automation and the ultimate outcome of this automation. And right now, basically, this is my personal opinion for it. Seeing an ad that's relevant to what I was searching for, or that can make the purchase decision for me slightly easier, is very much beneficial for me, right? Better than having like just a random SMS that, hey, this is like, I don't know, buy this unit in this place. Like, I just moved. I don't need to see such an ad right now, right? So this is like the good thing in it, but the not so good thing is how the industry in digital marketing are actually training these automations to make it hit the customers at the right point.
I think it's very interesting. I remember when I was searching for something on a search engine, and then the next day on every social media platform of mine,
Exactly.
I see the same ad or the same competitive ad. And it's very amazing to see the scale of connectivity across different platforms.
Yeah.
Do you find it intrusive at times?
True. I can't say anything else right now because see, if it's from the same brand that I was interacting with, then this is slightly beneficial for me, right? But all of a sudden, the entire let's call it feed I'm scrolling through, every other car that's showing here, or every other, I don't know, clothes brand, or like whatever it is. So now it's becoming a little bit intrusive in sense of where did all of these competitors get my data from? So this is why it's again good but not so good in a way. So it's the same two faces of the coin for this equation.
If I were to talk about data, I think nowadays everything is measurable.
Yeah.
And one of the struggles I guess we had with finance is when we see everything upfront, we tend to miss the bigger projects that need to be done because of time factors, because
Correct.
it doesn't immediately give the results that you want.
Yeah.
I would imagine in digital marketing where everything can be tracked from conversions, clicks, ROIs, there might be a sense where the creativity aspect of it is kind of sidelined in order to kind of pursue quick short-term goals.
For sure.
What do you think about that?
Like I'm glad to hear that from a finance guy, to be honest. But basically, it's how we can call it. It's the business needs, unfortunately, specifically if you're working with like a fast-paced industry or with I can call it like very last-minute product changes that you need to turn the entire campaign planning upside down in just a matter of week or something to pace up and to keep the agility aspect of your campaigns up to standard. But the thing is, always like planning ahead is the final goal that all the different stakeholders, different departments are always aiming to have. But this is, let's say, some sort of ideal scenario that eventually will not happen. So the best thing is to have some sort of an assets bucket, or like some sort of an like ongoing resource that whatever you as a digital marketer or even like a content creator, creative department, just keep populating this asset box, let's call it like this. So you have an always on ready ideas or always on ready creative executions that you can like be a little bit creative, like, because if it's not planned very well from the very beginning, it's not up to standards for sure. But in the same time, you are maintaining the agility required for the business needs, because especially with all these new entrants in the market right now, like you see a lot of changes happening literally in the speed of light. So if you focused on one aspect, which is only the creativity and like the creative messaging and the hierarchy of messaging, you will actually miss the entire game. So it's always the right balance between both.
There's a lot of data that comes from an omni-channel point of view.
Yeah.
You see customer interactions across every platform. And with so much data that you see every single day, before you plan and execute a campaign, how do you know what to look at, what's relevant, and what to communicate to brands?
Um, it's a really good question. So you always have like two or three aspects in mind ahead of starting even the brief that comes before the plan. So one thing is the category input. So whatever you have as a point of data that reflects the category growth, or for example, the big moments or the seasonal moments within this category in the upcoming period. So that's the first thing. Second thing is the audience interactions for the previous campaign. So, for example, from a digital perspective, what was the click-through rates, which is basically the number of clicks in ratio to the number of impressions that every customer got served with this ad, that how they interacted with it. Like if it's a video, what's the viewability duration for this video? So these points will eventually help you better curate the messaging hierarchy for the upcoming campaign, and will give you the sense of what your customers like and what they don't like to avoid in the upcoming plan. And the last thing would be, of course, if there are any like platform updates from a digital perspective or from an ad tech perspective, just to keep ahead of these changes if it will happen mid flight of the campaign. So you should be planning on two phases just to make sure this update will not impact the final results of your KPIs.
You mentioned different ratios, for instance, click through rates, CPAs as well. What I'm trying to understand is if we have, let's say, a legacy brand, let's say a clothing brand or a any kind of brand that's
Yeah.
been in existence for decades, versus a brand that's trying to position itself and trying to rise in those charts that's been in existence for a few years.
Yeah.
How do you see their digital marketing campaigns respectively, and what would their focus be?
Creative. That's in short. So basically, if you are a new entrant, you will not, by design, except for a few cases, you will not have the same money as the legacy brands, or you will not have the same reputation or overall opinion about this brand, right? So you need to be disruptive. So the creative, the message that you design to disrupt the market, to grab the attention at the very first point of introduction to the market, this is the most important thing to focus on followed by the media mix and how the digital marketing will support this message to reach the maximum target audience, or actually the maximum of the market, to understand which is the right target audience for you afterwards. But the focus here is for sure the messaging and itself and the creative way of executing it.
I think that's where there's always an internal dilemma between the brand, marketing in different departments. There's always this focus between quick, measurable actions
Yeah.
versus the long term impact of a brand.
Yes.
I would
Yes.
imagine that obviously, if a brand starts quite new, this is the first bit that they have to focus on trying to build up their market share.
Correct.
Versus if something's more established or legacy, they would do a different kind of an approach to build their brand base. Personally, what do you think is an ideal approach for a brand to function?
So basically, like I can call it like some sort of the magical mix for me that never failed me so far. But having the right balance between the biddable media and non-biddable media in the very beginning of your campaign would be very challenging. So you ideally you would lean more on the biddable media, which is basically the easiest to get results out, the easiest to set up, the easiest to track. You can have some sort of incrementality studies, brand lift studies. You can actually run it by yourself very often. So you would get the true essence of the market for your brand at the very early stage. Then when you grow like a couple of, let's say, years in the market, so on and so forth, then you start have the mix with like the direct publishers or like influencers, like the mega ones for sure, or any sort of non-biddable media that will add up to your reputation, that will add up to your brand growth and overall opinion for sure.
I would imagine, and I could be wrong, that with using influencers, probably we would do that in the beginning when the brand is growing versus, like you mentioned, BLS studies, which can be
Yes.
quite expensive to actually furnish for a brand new up and coming brand.
I can say I completely disagree with this approach because currently influencer marketing in specific is I see it one of the most expensive areas. Again, I'm focusing on, so we have two categories here. We have the influencers, which is like the well-known, like plus 1 million
Followers.
followers and whatnot, and then you have the micro communities. So this is the go-to for the like the first entrance of the market, just to create a buzz out of nowhere. So all of a sudden, the entire, for example, platform is speaking about the same thing, repeating the same message. So this is your entry point. Then when you have more budget, you have more flexibility, then you go to influencer marketing with the proper way, like getting an influencer to test your product, to have your product for like, I don't know, like 1 week or
A
something,
review,
a
yeah.
full-on review. So all of these stuff would cost a lot of money for a new brand that's coming in to the market. But with the micro communities, you can do, I can't say the same, but like similar effect of the influencer marketing within like a very friendly budget range, I can say, and you can get the results out of it very, very soon. The second point about the BLSs and these kind of stuff, if, for example, you're focusing your spends on platform one, for example, so you can get like a self-serve way of doing it on the platform itself. So, for example, I'm a customer, I got served the ad of this brand, and then within the next, I don't know, 2-3 days, I receive a questionnaire on the same platform itself saying, have you seen an ad from this brand? Do you recall seeing this ad? Yes or no? So it's I can say it's quite expensive, but with the focused approach, so focusing on biddables, focusing on what matters most for the business for this platform, for example, you will get the results. You can immediately get some sort of incrementality for your approach. So the people who were exposed to your ad at this platform actually knows it, actually sees it. So this give you some confidence that you're moving in the right direction with your money, because at the end of the day, the bigger picture of things, you need to keep an eye on the business outcome of your marketing campaigns.
You need a good ROI for what you put in.
Exactly.
That's a very interesting approach in which brands start with micro influencers
Yeah.
and I think grow their base and eventually look at different platforms. If we were to look at different campaigns,
Yeah.
what would you say is a hallmark of a really good campaign and a pretty average campaign?
So yeah, like that's the core thing of digital marketing is about effectiveness. So let's say this brand specifically were focusing on awareness, and it actually was very effective in making the entire market speak about your brand. So this is a very effective campaign for your goal. So that's a good campaign. But for an average campaign, you set a goal from the beginning to make the entire market aware of your campaign. And then eventually, like only half of it or like less than half of it just barely knows you. And then you generated business outcomes of it. Like you actually, I don't know, like got some leads, got some whatever app downloads and what so on and so forth. But you literally miss the core goal of your campaign, which is being efficient at reach, being effective at raising an overall opinion for your campaign. So it's always depend on the core goal or the core KPI for the brief itself.
So, if I were to look at the general assumption of digital marketing, at least the assumption that I had, which I've changed over time,
Yeah.
is that when companies and brands think about digital marketing, it's perhaps a certain budget that's placed into
Yeah.
different platforms and search engines, and the result would be based on leads. And it's a very simplistic way of thinking of digital,
Come on.
right, of digital marketing.
Yeah.
What do you think has been the biggest misconception with digital marketing?
Yeah.
And how do you see the role between digital marketing versus traditional marketing?
That's a very good one. So I believe like one of our biggest misconception is just like putting the money to the platform and just like sitting there wishing for leads to flow in, but like we miss like the bigger picture of it. So basically, a day in life of a digital marketer is like a 24/7 campaign optimization, having like 3 or 4 rounds of checks on the number of reach, the number of impressions. Are we reaching the right balance between the frequency of like repeating the ad to the same customer just to make them take the action, or reaching to the new customers that we haven't yet reached? So that's like an always on struggle for the digital marketers, just to literally quantify the amount of work that they do on a daily basis. The second part of difference between digital and traditional, let's say you're a well-established brand that has a very high overall opinion in the market, right? But for, I don't know, like 2 or 3 years, you're saying the same message, having the same creative approach, having the same campaign approach. To a certain extent, you cannot penetrate any further through digital, which you always need to have some sort of, on a quarterly base even, to have some sort of traditional marketing. So speaking on outdoor, speaking on radio, print, magazine, activations on ground, be a little bit more closer to the customers. That's I can call it a must in today's world, because basically the customer on the digital spectrum, you guys have been bombarded with ads like 24/7. You're receiving ads across each, and even if you're like playing a game, you're receiving an ad
Right.
inside the game, right? So this is why you need to break through the clutter a little bit with the traditional marketing each now and then. I understand it's from like a cost perspective, it's really costly, but it's really important and it's really impactful, just to maintain the overall opinion, the unaided awareness of the brand itself, to maintain the let's say the stable flow of the business outcomes that the business really wishes for.
In terms of the overall budget, I would imagine digital marketing is generally a couple of decades old since the World Wide Web was invented.
Yeah.
Before that, it was traditional marketing on like you said, newspapers, even phone books,
Yeah.
where ads used to be placed at big outdoor signs. Where do you see the budgets of both big and small companies now? Has there been a gradual shift towards digital marketing, or has it been a large increase in now pure digital marketing versus the amount that they would put in traditional marketing?
So the shift I think happened post 2020 2021. Like it's a massive shift all of a sudden to the digital world across all big and small brands. So for small brands, like they can reach their entire community with like couple of dollars, like less than $1,000, and then you can reach the entire community you are living as a small brand, and then you get the right push or the right start for your brand. And for the legacy brands or like the well-known brands, they can do the same as well, but like with a completely different scope of budget. So the focus now towards digital marketing, with the new move of GDPR laws and like privacy, and how can we collectively as a community reach the right mix between your right for your privacy to not to have any intrusive ads and whatnot, and for these companies to generate more revenue through these cost efficient ways. But I think here, at least in the MENA region, like the traditional marketing is really still a core thing across all the marketing mixes, across all the media plans. Again, like at least quarterly based. But as you can see here, like most of outdoors, like rarely you can see like an out of home that's not having any ad, like, or the ads are not changing each month, so on and so forth. Yeah.
I think it's very introspective because the GCC is a very mobile rich,
Yeah.
technology savvy location. And there you still see a lot of very great outdoor ads with a mix of digital and traditional marketing as well. Where do you see the trends in the next few years with digital marketing?
Um, I think the trend would be a little bit mix of both. Like we call it some phygital mix right now. So you go to the customer where, for example, they are having an outing or playing a game or something, and then you try to physically be there, but have some digital interactions with the customer, whether it's like a QR scan, like that's the very simplest way of saying it, but like a lot more AR stands, VR stands, whatever the technology are hitting right now, but basically trying to have the best of both worlds, because on digital screens only you have very challenging attention span. So like it's a swipe only and then your ad is gone, versus when you're literally there, like the let's call it a paddle game that's going on for like 60 minutes or 90 minutes, your brand is there, very visible in front of the customer. And if you have any sort of engaging interaction with the customer, he will eventually come to the stands and like start to have a couple of discussions with the sales guys or the promoters, and like what's this product, how this can be beneficial for me, so on and so forth. So the mix will be happening really soon, even for the out of homes. I think now we can see the enormous amount of the digital out of home ads that's taking over the entire region. Yeah.
Looking at the overall GCC region, have you seen a shift in, let's start with marketing budgets or campaigns from the UAE to other countries, let's say to Saudi?
Um, I think like the focus now is completely, let's call it 50-50, or even more, for most of the legacy brands that we know, between UAE and Saudi in specific, because again, like the company is trying to reach the new audiences that eventually will be there, because right now there is a lot of changes in the country. The market is getting bigger, so there's a lot of opportunities for the companies to reach new customers there, but as well across the entire region. So you can see the digital campaigns now being launched on a regional scope better than like country specific scope, just to yield the bigger benefit for the business at the end of the day, especially for the fast moving industries and whatnot.
Okay. So you spoke about opportunities for companies. What about individuals in the marketing or digital marketing fields? Do you feel that in terms of their pay scale, that perhaps moving to Saudi would reach more in that aspect?
It depends, based on the vertical, based on the industry, based on a lot of couple of things. Again, like the market there is getting bigger and bigger, but across the entire region, it's a very competitive markets. So you can just like put it out there that, for example, Qatar has more salaries than, I don't know, Bahrain. Yeah. You can just like put like
Generalize
a
it.
general word for all the countries, but either ways, the focus on digital specifically in the coming years, I believe, is getting more and more across most of the region. This is why you find this would be beneficial for sure for us as individuals at the end of the day. But this is why you see the more sort of competition between companies to attract the right talent with the right package, just to maintain the talents as much as they can, because that's the issue now. That previously the turnover rate was like 5 to 7 years, something like this. But now, like the turnover rate, like been 2 years, 3 years max, and then you see talents are moving between companies, between countries, between continents, even. So yeah, it's very competitive now, which I believe would be a beneficial thing for all of us.
I think it's beneficial for the overall industry and the individuals as
Exactly,
well.
exactly,
Like speaking,
exactly.
even though they move to different locations and everything, the core is still the same, their passion and their love for digital marketing. You've been in this industry for the longest time. What has been the reasons that has stayed or grounded you in this industry, and what do you like about it?
So basically, it's not a routine thing by any shape or form. Like you can't just anticipate entering digital marketing. I have this, I don't know, like 9 to 6. I'm going there. I'm opening the platform, adding the budget, and then staying and chilling for the entire day. It's nothing like this. So each and every day there is a new challenge you are facing. There is a new update that you are trying to maneuver or have a workaround just to make sure your campaign will not be affected or impacted in any shape or form. So this is the main thing that is actually keeping me in this industry for that long. And across like the verticals I've worked on, so each vertical you work, you interact with people, different people in a way. So, for example, the customer, the sensitivity for the customer to anticipate some sort of an offer for a brand or an industry, that's completely different than other brands or other verticals. So the change in verticals for me was very beneficial. The shifts between agency side to OEM side to retailer side, that this dynamic for me was really what kept me in this industry for that much.
Thank you so much, Tariq, for your time. I definitely learned a lot about digital marketing. It was great to have you on.
Likewise, thank you.